Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about sex. Hello my beautiful friends and welcome back. So as you can tell by the title of today's video, we're going to be talking about things I wish I knew before having sex. So I have seen a couple of people do this style of video before, but I feel like the things people always say they wish they knew are things that are widely spoken about and most people are aware of. Things like it is important to have foreplay before having sex, it is important to be wet, it is important to be comfortable, don't have sex until you're ready. I feel like these things are spoken about quite often, but I'm talking about things that would have made my life a hell of a lot easier if I knew them. Another one that's spoken about a lot is it's so important to pee before and after sex, especially after sex, to prevent kidney infections and UTIs. When I started having sex, I was not aware of this, and I was getting UTIs like every 2 months, every 3 months, because I had no idea I had to pee after sex. And I had an extremely painful few years, all because I didn't know I needed to pee. Like, our sex education is ridiculous. Also very important to pee before sex, so you're going to enjoy it as much as you possibly can, and you're not just going to be lying there thinking I need to pee, because I personally have had sex before when I badly needed to do a pee and I was just waiting for it to end. I could not enjoy myself whatsoever. So yeah, we're going to just dive right on in. I thought this would be a good video to do because I feel like hopefully it might help some people out there, even people who have already started having sex. Maybe these are things that you've never heard anyone talk about or mention, and it might just be nice for you to even hear them, you know? So I feel like this will be an important video for us. One more thing, friends, this video probably won't be monetized because we're talking about sex, so I would be so grateful if you could smash a thumbs up, leave a comment, even if it's just a heart. You don't have to write a big comment, like a little emoji or anything, and subscribe. Just engaging with this video will really help me out because YouTube isn't a big fan of my channel because we talk about taboo things. But these taboo things are very important to talk about, so I'm going to keep talking about them. Just so you guys are aware, these things are in no order whatsoever. I just jotted down a load of things I wish I knew, so we could just sit down and have a really chill chat. First thing I wish I knew before having sex was that learning to masturbate to orgasm will be one of the funnest things you ever do, and never let anybody ever shame you for being able to pleasure yourself. As I said before, I was having sex for 3 years before I had ever had an orgasm. In them 3 years, there were times where I tried to pleasure myself or masturbate, but I don't know what it was. Anytime I ever tried to masturbate or pleasure myself, it always felt wrong. I always felt shame inside myself. I always felt like I was dirty, I was doing something wrong, and I think that was solely because women pleasuring themselves was never something I ever heard about when I was a young teenager. It was never spoken about. It was only ever spoken about men masturbating and pleasuring themselves. Like, that was always very socially acceptable, but a woman pleasuring themselves was like not heard of. So that was definitely something I struggled with for quite a long time. And also, I was having sex for such a long time and I didn't even know my body. I didn't even know what made me feel good. I didn't even know how to orgasm. Like, I had no idea. And there was nobody I could talk to about this stuff. There was nobody I could ask. Like, I just felt like it was such a no-talk zone. Do you know what I mean? Being able to pleasure yourself and being able to make yourself orgasm is such a beautiful thing in my opinion. It is so sexy, I think, first of all, and I don't mean sexy for like a man or a woman or for someone else. Like, it's just so sexy to know yourself, to be able to do that for yourself, give yourself that kind of pleasure. Also, like, when you're able to pleasure yourself, sex is going to be so much more enjoyable for you because you know yourself, you know what you need, you know what you like. Them 3 years where I was having sex, I hadn't a clue. Like, I hadn't a clue. I was like, oh yeah, do this. But it didn't even feel good. Like, I was just so like walking around like smashing my head off a wall, like, you know, so confused about it all. The second thing I wish I knew before having sex is that virginity is a social construct and has absolutely nothing to do with your worth whatsoever. It's up to you to decide what your boundaries are and what's important to you. Nobody else gets to make those decisions. And this goes for both ways. This goes if you've lost your virginity young, or if you are 40, 50 and you still haven't lost your virginity. Like, your virginity has absolutely nothing to do with your worth. Like, just because you lost your virginity young, it doesn't mean you're worth less. Just because you haven't lost your virginity, it doesn't mean you're worth more or less, and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? I don't feel like we need to go too much into that one because I feel like it kind of explains it in itself. But just to quickly give a little explanation, when I was lost my virginity, I was only 15, so I was quite young in my opinion, very, very young in my opinion. And after, I did feel shame for a little while, and I didn't tell anyone for quite a while, because I was thinking to myself, does this mean I'm worth less now? Like, I grew up in Ireland going to a Catholic school. There was very little sex education. There was nobody in my life at the time that I was able to talk about these things with, so I was just like left to my own devices trying to figure this stuff out, you know. So the third thing I wish I knew before having sex was that porn lied to you, okay? Seriously. Porn is entertainment. Porn is not education. Let me just say that again for the people in the back who didn't hear me. Porn is entertainment. Porn is not education. So before I ever had sex, probably like quite a lot of people, I did dive into the porn world, you know, because I wanted to see what it was all about. I wanted to see what I was getting myself in for. I was curious. I feel like we've all been there, you know. What's sex? How does that work? What does that look like? I remember watching porn, and I was watching it as if it was like teaching me, and I was like, okay, so that's how you do that, that's how you do that, that's how you do that. You know what I mean? Like, I was taking mental notes in my head, because we were never educated on sex, ever. Like, even my mum and me would have never talked about sex or anything like that when I was that age. So I was trying to do my own research, honey. But porn stars are acting, okay? They are actors. They have a whole setup behind them that you can't see. Multiple cameramen, multiple cameras, multiple lights, told where to go. It's like a movie. They have a script. They come in at this point. If they don't look good enough, they have to do it again. They have makeup artists, hair people fixing their hair. Oh, I get so vexed about this, because so many people think that porn is like an accurate representation of how actual sex is, and it's not. It is the furthest thing from reality, and it is so toxic and so damaging that people think that is real life. And you know, when I first watched porn and I hadn't had sex, yeah, I was that girl. You know, so just say you're having sex and there's a mirror somewhere around and you're able to see what's going on, and you catch a glimpse of yourself and you're like, oh, why do I look like that? Like, and you're comparing yourself to these girls you've seen in porn. Like, don't do it. Don't do it, because they're acting. It's their job. They're professionals. They have so many people helping them look like that. It's like a model. That model doesn't look like that when she goes home and the lights are taken off, the makeup's taken off, the cameras stop rolling. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to make sure to always bring it back to reality. Okay, so number 4 is really, really, really important, and something that I hold very close to my heart and I feel very strongly on. So number 4 is, if someone can't give consent, nobody should touch them. Nobody. If someone is incapable of giving consent for whatever reason, you should not put your hands on them. And if someone touches them or does something with them anyway, they are a rapist. And it might take you a long time to say the word rapist, but that's okay. You're allowed to take your time to heal. Sometimes it takes long to heal. And okay, I'm going to give you a very small little story on this one, and it's something that I never thought I would probably mention on the internet. I feel if this can get into somebody's head and might like help them avoid this situation in the future, it'll be so worth it. But when I was in my first ever relationship and I was with this boy for like 2.5 years, and when I got to the age where I was allowed to start going out and drinking alcohol, I think I was like 16, late 16, and I was, you know, starting to maybe drink a little more than I should have been drinking. You know, when you start being allowed to drink and then you're like, oh, this is great. And anyways, I was out in the pub one night with my then boyfriend. I got extremely intoxicated. I was way too drunk. Got brought home anyway by him. I had no recollection of getting home or anything like that. I passed straight out on the couch. I don't even remember doing this. All I remember is waking up. Well, no, I lost consciousness and like coming back in and out of consciousness. Like, I was completely out of it. I was so drunk that I was just like, my body needed to sleep. Like, my body wasn't used to drinking alcohol. It was one of the first times I ever drank quite a bit of alcohol. I just remember my eyes like opening, and he was having sex with me and he was like on top of me, and I remember being like, what are you doing? Like, get off me. I was so intoxicated and incapable of moving that I literally didn't even have the strength to push him off me, and I was just like, please, please, please get off me. And he just kept having sex with me until he was done. And yeah, that's something that I've only been able to talk about in like the last year-ish, maybe a little bit more. And it's something that still affects me to this day, and it was something that I didn't speak about for such a long time, because I always was under the impression that people can't sexually assault you when you're in a relationship, because it was never talked about or explained to me when I was that age. I was never aware of it. It was never spoken about in school, so I just thought, because he's my boyfriend, he has the right to do that. But this is so important for young girls, and even girls maybe who are my age who have not heard this and maybe have been in a similar situation to me, you know, just because you're in a relationship with somebody, you still need to get consent off them. Do you know what I mean? It is not okay for a situation like that to happen. It is not okay. And just because you're in a relationship with somebody doesn't mean that you still can't be raped or you still can't be sexually assaulted. But fucking hell, consent is so important, like Jesus. And I remember in a video I did quite recently, and I talked about consent, and someone commented being like, if somebody was asking me, is this okay, is that okay, I'd have no interest in sleeping with them. And I was just like, what? Like, I'm sorry, but if you have ever been in a situation where you had no control and somebody was doing something that you did not consent to, then I'm sorry. You would not be saying that. You would not be saying that. Sorry, that was a little bit tense for me. It's something that I've probably only spoken about like less than this many times, so it's still like really hard to get the words out. But yeah, consent is so important. It's not spoken about enough, but I feel like that story was important to tell you guys, because I know I'm not the only one who has been through something like that, and it really does fuck with your head. So yeah, okay, we're gonna move on because I will get way too emotional and I won't be able to film or finish the rest of the video. So is this number 5? I think we're on number 5 now. Okay, so the 5th thing I wish I knew before having sex is that it's gonna take a while before it actually starts to feel good. Sex did not feel good, amazing, life-changing, magical the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 6th, 8th time I had it. It took quite a good few times before I had sex before I really started to enjoy it and it really started to feel good. So in that case, I'm really glad I kept with it, because, you know, for example, going back to the porn thing, you'll watch porn, you go, okay, she's screaming, it's obviously life-changing, it's obviously magical, amazing. It's going to take a while for you to get into your groove and, you know, learn about yourself. You're starting to just see all these bits and pieces that you have spent the last however many years of your life knowing nothing about. And now you've got to figure out how they work. So, you know, it will take a few times. So don't be expecting your first time to be like, whoa. If you come out with your first time feeling a little bit let down, that was a bit shit, wasn't that amazing, wasn't that great? Most people do. So stick with it if you want to. If you're interested in having some pretty magical sex, stick with it. The 6th thing I wish I knew before having sex, and this is so important, that it doesn't have to be all about him. I need to say that one more time. I think I need to say that one more time. It does not need to be all about him. The whole, like, baseball analogy is really based on the guy's pleasure. And, like, when I first started having sex, the way it was in my head, it was, like, nearly as if I had to hit every base, and then, like, sex was the finale. Like, him coming during sex was, like, the finale. I am just talking mainly about heterosexual couples here because, well, from my experience, I find it's very different girl on girl. But it's kind of just the way society portrays it, is that it's all about the guy's pleasure. Like, I don't know, even, like, movies, TV shows, like, sex always ends once the guy finishes and the guy has an orgasm and the guy comes, even if the girl hasn't. Why is that? Why is that? It is so damaging. It's so toxic. Do you know how many comments and how many messages I've seen online, on Twitter, Instagram, under YouTube videos, of men commenting things being like, wait, you girls can come. How do you girls have an orgasm? I didn't know you girls could have an orgasm. Like, we are in 2020 and there are still so many men out there who think us, who bring humans into the world, we carry a child for 9 months, then we pop it out of our vagina, think we're incapable of having an orgasm. I'm insulted. Sex is not all about him. Sex should not be all about him and his pleasure. Sex should be about the both of you. Two people, both of your pleasure, both of you having an orgasm, both of you getting off, both of you enjoying it. It's not just about one person the way our world likes to portray it as. Your pleasure is just as important, okay? And I feel like it took me years to get this into my head and accept this. For so many years, I was having sex, and I was having sex to please them. To please them completely. Like, I didn't care what I was doing for me, how I felt. if I did or didn't have an orgasm, because I was under the impression the finale per se was when they finish. And also, most men also give that impression, because when most men come, they're like, okay, we're done. And then you're just lying there like, oh yeah, really? Okay. So this is very important that we speak about it. And I also feel like it's very important to talk about it if you're in a relationship, even a casual relationship, even if you're just dating and hooking up with somebody. Like, this is about two of you guys, you know, and you want to be getting as much out of it as they are, you know what I mean? Like, you're not just an object to pleasure somebody else. And unfortunately, that is the way society has made it seem for quite a long time. The seventh thing I wish I knew before having sex is that it's absolutely okay to say, this feels weird, can we try something else? Or, I'm not really enjoying this, can we do X or Y? Or just do something else? That is absolutely fine. For years, I felt like I couldn't speak up and say what it is I wanted if I wasn't enjoying something, because again, I felt like if they were enjoying it, I should just ride it out, because, you know, read my last point. This is such bullshit. Please, please, please don't ever feel like that. Don't ever just do something, even if you're really not enjoying it, just for the other person. Like, be vocal and say if you're not enjoying it, if it feels weird. Like, there's been certain positions that I've not really enjoyed, or certain things where I'm uncomfortable. Honestly, there's nothing more attractive, I don't think, than somebody who knows what they want and how they want it, and is not afraid to say it and speak their mind. Like, I am so like that now. Like, I am the most vocal bitch you could ever meet, but a few years ago I wasn't, and it ruined sex for me for years. Nearly answering to somebody else, like, what? Oh, I get so angry at myself. Like, and the thing is like, these are things that should be spoken about in school. Like, we should be taught this stuff in school. Like, this is so important. Like, so much about fucking algebra. I've never used algebra. I've been out of school over 3 years now, nearly 4 years, and I've never once needed to use algebra. But all of this stuff would have helped me greatly. The eighth thing I wish I knew before having sex is to never rely on a guy to bring condoms. You should always carry condoms. And if a guy insists, but I'm clean, before you guys have had the bareback discussion, do not have sex with him under any circumstances whatsoever. A lot of people and a lot of guys out there will try this game, and I've had people try with me before, you know, oh, I don't have condoms, and you go, oh well, good job, I brought them, you know, then they can't say shit. You've got to look out for you. You have to worry about yourself. Nobody else is going to do it. STIs, sexually transmitted infections, are a real thing. They're a real thing. They're a lot more common than you think they are, and a lot of them don't even show symptoms. So a lot of people aren't even aware if they have an STI. So you need to just always better be safe than sorry, you know? And also, like, anyone who's trying to convince you to have sex without a condom when you have made it very clear you want to use a condom has no respect for you whatever. If somebody doesn't have respect for you, do not let them near your body. They have no business seeing you with your clothes off, or getting near to touch you, if they can't respect you and your boundaries. If you're just sleeping with somebody and you're not in a relationship with them or whatever, you know, they're just thinking about themselves. They're just not wanting to use a condom because it's going to feel maybe a little bit better for them for 3 minutes, you know. They're not thinking about you, they're thinking about themselves. So you've got to think about you too, okay? The ninth thing I wish I knew before having sex is that you're not going to know you like something until you try it, and vice versa. You know, you're not going to know you don't like something until you try it. Experimenting is one of the funnest things you will do in the bedroom when you start having sex. Some of my favourite things to do and to have done to me now during sex are things I would never have known hadn't I have tried something new and just experimented a little bit, you know? So it's good to experiment, because you'll find out what you do and also what you don't like, you know what I mean? You don't have to stay doing the same thing forever, and it doesn't mean if you try something new then your partner's always going to expect that. You know, you can just test it out and then give them feedback and let them know, you know. It can be a fun time, you know? Yeah, no, it should be a fun time. The 10th thing I wish I knew before having sex is that bodies are weird, and bodies are going to make weird noises, and it's so normal. Just roll with it. Don't be embarrassed if you queef, if you fart, if the noise of your sweat mushing together. Like, it's so normal, okay? And at the end of the day, if it feels good, just do it. But just make sure you're doing it safely and you're looking out for yourself always. And also, if it doesn't feel good and you don't want to have sex and you have no interest in having sex, Also, do that. Whatever makes you happiest. Just like to remind you to please smash a big thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe if you haven't already. It will just really help other people find my channel and just to help other people see this kind of content, which I feel like is very important because unfortunately a lot of us are left to figure this stuff out for ourselves. But yeah, let me know what you thought of this video if you enjoyed. I really hope it maybe helped one of you guys out there and you maybe learned something, or maybe it brought you a bit of comfort in some sense, or you related to something. This video would have really helped me back when I was 15 and I was about to have sex for the first time, so hopefully this can save some of you guys. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and I can't wait to see you guys in my next video. I love you all so very much and I am forever grateful for all of your support. Thank you, friends. Bye.